Hello, my name is Anuja Verma. Welcome to my screencast of my app Stay Together. The idea of this app is to keep the family facts and artifacts together so that I can upload pictures and those can be available to my family members. Currently, I have some basic features of this app and a lot of future ideas. Right now, you are seeing my homepage, and I can log in from here with my email. And if I type wrong password, it'll give me an error which says invalid email or password. I will now log in with my correct password. So when logged in successfully, I can see that I am logged in as me with my email address. I can see a family tree here on my main page. This family tree is rendered using D3's hierarchical layout using the collapsible tree. I can expand and collapse these nodes, and I can expand all of those. And I can see where I am in the tree right now. Now to see all the members, I can click on see all family members. This page is rendered using React, and this has all the family cards. The future idea is that these pictures will be rendered from Facebook API and Facebook profile pictures. If a user does not have a Facebook profile picture, then the pictures will be rendered from the uploaded pictures. I have my page option for each of these cards. Currently, this goes to a blank but a user page. The idea of this page is that it'll have all the details of a user, and it'll also have all the pictures of a user where a user is tagged in. I can go back to my home page and click on sign up for a new user. This will give me a form. This form is also rendered using React. I can the idea behind having a select parent or a spouse is that a family member will either be related by a parent, or it might be they might be related by a spouse. So I can enter their details, and then I can enter their relationship based on a parent, and this shows me all the user list or a spouse. And I can create passwords for them and submit. Later on, they can come and edit their settings and change their password. So now I will talk about my code. I am currently in my trees controller, which is rendering the D3 tree. So it's rendering JSON get user data, and get user data is a function which is getting data object in a form which is required by my D3 tree. It's getting me name of a user, and the ID of the parent ID of that user, and the children's of that user, and it's returning that data in a JSON format. This data is then being taken by the AJAX request and passed on to the script where the D3, which is the script, is used to render D3. Here, first, the script will create the margins on the document window, where it'll set the margins, the top, right, bottom, left, height and width of the margins where the tree will actually be rendered. d3.layout.tree is it creates a new tree layout. It's a function and it creates a new tree layout with the default settings, and the default settings are from the margin which we are passing. Diagonal is here diagonal is s3 svg. Diagonal is another function which will be rendering the diagonal, and the diagonal here is from the parent node to the child node, the connection between these nodes. uh, svg is a container here, and it's appending to the body of the selected body, and it's rendering a frame where this tree will be displayed, and it's also appending a tag g in there. d3.json is just getting the data from json, and it's bringing the data here. D is a node here, is a single node, and it's getting all the childrens of that node, and this is the function which will help in collapse and expanding of the root. So here the compute the new tree layout is computing it's getting the nodes, and tree.nodes returns the associated node in a form of a array. um, and so for each node it is um, checking the depth, and depth here is the depth of the node from the root. So it's rendering all these functions. X and y are the location of are the computed coordinates from where the node will be displayed, and on click exactly on click element of on click event where the node will be displayed, and then it will append a circle there, which is a svg svg component, and it will append the text to that component, and fill the opacity of that um, particular node. So it'll create the circle and then fill the node with the particular opacity or emphasize, or so it's just creating circles, and it's creating text on particular node, or expanding of that particular node. So this is all d3 functions, and it's creating node using parent and child relationship of the data being passed. So this is d3. Next, I'll be showing how my React component of this page are being rendered. So this page is my home page, and so it's the user's controller page, and it says this is the user controller where I'm getting all like indexes and all my actions being rendered here. Index, show, new, create. So in my views, users, I will go to my index page, and this is just rendering a component user list, and in the initial list is passed as at users, which is coming from the index as a JSON object. I will be getting this index.html is calling user list component, which is a React component, and it is basically getting all the users, and then from the initial list, and it is rendering the users. For each user data is for each user is called, and Here user component is rendered uh, using using this header function, and the header function header using this header class, and this header class is being called here, um, which is rendering this HTML. I'm using JSX so that I can write my HTML directly into my React code. Here I'm just assigning user to the complete that particular user object, and the picture will be the first picture of the user in the my pictures table. um, Image source is just bringing a picture.link from my pictures table, and user href is creating my page route. Once these are all assigned, I can create my HTML and create my thumbnail using I'm using Bootstrap CSS here. So thumbnail is creating a container, and in that container I'm writing the caption, I'm writing the first name and email, and I'm rendering the picture there of I'm rendering the picture here in source.image source, and I'm rendering the link to the person's user page here. So this is React, and React is rendering this page uh, with picture for the name and email address, and this is the link to the page. Next I will be talking about my sign up new user form, which is also rendered using React. So if I go back to my user controller, I basically I'm creating a new page. I'm calling a new function, and then I'm creating users using def create. This I am again doing on my new .html.erb. This is the header on the page. Add a new family member, and then I'm using another React component, new user form, and the list is again passed as @user as a JSON. So I have to pass this @user so that I can create the select component for the relationship, for the complete list, for the drop down menu. So I'll first talk about this drop down menu here, and because this is also rendered using React, I will go in my relationship selector, and relationship selector is another React class. I'm getting the initial state users as blank. I'm setting the initial state of users as blank so that it is selected to a blank user. And then I'll go directly to the HTML part first, and then so I'm rendering a function here which is checking for my user and user ID, and this is the user options. So when I am creating a HTML here, I am doing a ref user. I'll explain in a bit. And then I am doing an option selected, and I'm using this user options here to create a list. User options is a function here which is bringing all the first names, and at the back at the values of this username will be a user ID, so that I can store this user ID in my database as a relationship. Once this function is rendered, or the data is mounted, the Ajax will be called, and this is get users, which is getting users in the JSON format to render this to render this user dot first name inside the list. um, So I am calling this dot state dot value, and I'm setting the value as this dot state dot value, and on this on change, this will handle change. This dot state dot value is whatever the value will be changed. It'll set the value to be the user ID of that selected value, selected user. Uh, and this dot set value will change the value. It'll set the value of that event target value. So whenever the change will occur, the value will be set to that changed user and its user ID. Clear function, it'll when my form is submitted, this will help me to set the value again to null. Now I will talk about the complete user form. So user form here is again a React class, and it is again doing the same get initial state and health submit. It's also doing a ajax call, clear form function, handle change function, and render function. So I'll first talk about the render function. Render function is rendering my form with all these text boxes, and which is coming from input type text, and it's setting the value of whatever the value I will be storing in the form. And on change, it will be calling again this dot handle change, and so it has all the first name, last name, date of birth, place of birth, phone number, gender, email, and for the relationship, I have either select parent, and it is calling relationship selector, and I'm for select the spouse, I'm calling relationship selector. Again, because these will be a list of family members which are stored in the database. This is password and confirm password, and then a submit button. Now when this submit is done, it will call this dot handle submit, and this dot handle submit here will assign first all the current state of the text boxes to the variable names, and spouse ID to the spouse selector and parent selector, which the refs are being declared here in the parent selector as ref spouse selector and parent selector. So my refs will help me to pass this value from down there to this variable spouse ID and parent ID, and the data again will set all the it will create a user object, and that user object will now have the values from my form, and ajax will help me to post this data, which is in JSON format. And I'll go back to my user controller, and here a user will be created based on the user params received from the user controller. So this is the current functionality of my app. I have used D3 version 3, Bootstrap for my navigation bar and CSS. I have used Rails version 4, Ruby version 2, and React version 1 for achieving the current functionality of this website. The future functions which I want to render in this website will be, or to make this website more functionable, I want to create a user album library, and that album will hold I will be using paperclip to to upload to upload pictures of different user and give that functionality to the user to upload their pictures and tag them, so that when I go to see all my family members, and when I go to their page, it should show me all their pictures. And it can be pictures or it can be records like date of birth records, like not date of birth but like birth certificate records of a family. So those kind of documents can be kept together using this. Moreover, the tree will help a new family member to, like a spouse, to identify how the family is connected. So that is that is my website, Stay Together. And yeah, that is it. Thank you so much for watching the video.